We are starting 2021 strong with the new Galaxy Buds Pro. As a pair of everyday carry truly wireless earbuds, the Galaxy Buds Pro have all of the features that you could want in a very compact package. But what really surprised me about these things is just how great they sound. The Galaxy Buds Pro sound so good, they actually give the Sennheiser Momentum 2s a real run for their money. Now, I still have some critiques to point out about the Galaxy Buds Pro, but I'm only putting them out because I want to see Samsung continue to refine their earbuds. But overall, you really can believe the hype about the Galaxy Buds Pro. Now, when it comes to pricing, the Galaxy Buds Pro retail for $200, which does undercut a lot of other premium ANC truly wireless earbuds out there, like either, let's say, the AirPods Pro, Jabra Elite 85Ts, Sennheiser Momentum 2s, Sony WF-1000 XM3s, or the Bose QC earbuds. Now, they aren't undercutting them by a lot, but pound for pound, the Galaxy Buds Pro really do give you the best bang for your buck. So, if you want to pick these earbuds up, they'll be linked down below. Now, first off, we've got to talk about the carrying cases here, because to me, this is one of the most important things to consider when looking at a pair of everyday carry truly wireless earbuds. If the case is too big, I don't want it. So, with that being said, size-wise, the Galaxy Buds Pro's case is great. Now, it is a little thicker than the AirPods and AirPods Pro's case, but the Galaxy Buds Pro still have a very small footprint. Now, the Galaxy Buds Pro's case is very similar to the Jabra Elite 85T's case. It's the same thickness, but it does have a smaller footprint. But it is noticeably smaller than the Sennheiser Momentum 2's case, which is the largest case that I would consider to be acceptable nowadays. But then, there are the Sony WF-1000 XM3s, which have a very large footprint, but isn't too thick. But then, there's the Bose QC earbuds, whose case has both a very large footprint and is super thick and not in a good way. So definitely, the Galaxy Buds Pro have a decently small case. Now, the Galaxy Buds Pro's case is the same size as the Galaxy Buds Live case, except it has a matte finish to it, whereas the Live has a glossy finish. But personally, I do have to admit that I do prefer the Live's case over the Pro's case. Specifically, it's the tension on these lids when you open them. With the Pros, this lid springs open and springs closed, but to me it feels a little too loose and maybe even a little more unpredictable. Whereas the Live's lid has a constant tension to it. So when I go to open or close this lid, I feel like I have more control over it. It feels more intentional. Now, regardless, the Galaxy Buds Pro's case is still great and it's super easy to handle, but like I said, personally, I still prefer the Live's case over the Pro's because of the tension on the lid. But something that both the Pro's and Live's case could do better are their magnets. The magnets on these cases that attach to the earbuds are okay, but they are a little on the weaker side. Sometimes I wish these magnets had more of a pull to them. Now, when it comes to tech specs, just as you'd expect, this charging case charges via a USB-C port, and it also has wireless charging, which could be a big deal either for people who have a phone that supports power sharing, or for people who have already invested in a few wireless chargers. Now, when it comes to total battery life, it really does vary depending on how you use these earbuds. If you use these earbuds with their active noise cancellation and high Bixby turned off, then they have a combined battery life of 28 hours. The earbuds themselves can go for 8 straight hours, and the case can supply an additional 2.5 charges. Now, if you were to use these earbuds with the active noise cancellation turned on, then the earbuds can go for 5 straight hours. And if you were to use these earbuds with the active noise cancellation turned on and high Bixby turned on as well, then the earbuds themselves are good for about 4.5 hours. Now, personally, I only use the active noise cancellation or ambient mode on any of my earbuds when I have to. And since I am using these earbuds with a Pixel device, I don't use high Bixby. So for me, the Galaxy Buds Pro have had a combined battery life of around 20 to 24 hours, which is definitely decent for a pair of earbuds in 2021. But now let's talk about the earbuds themselves. Fit-wise, the Galaxy Buds Pro are between a pair of standard fitting in-ear earbuds, like let's say either the Galaxy Buds Plus or Sennheiser Momentum 2s, which go into your ear canal a decent amount, and a pair of shallow fitting in-ear earbuds, like let's say the AirPods Pro or Jabra Elite 85Ts, which don't go in too deep into your ear canal. The Galaxy Buds Pro go in a little deeper than the AirPods Pro, but not as deep as the Galaxy Buds Plus. Personally, I really like how these earbuds fit. Since they don't go in super deep, they don't get as itchy as your standard pair of in-ear earbuds, but since they aren't as shallow, they don't wiggle out as much as the AirPods Pro. Now, yeah, they still wiggle out and I still gotta readjust them from time to time, but not as much as the AirPods Pro, which I think is a win. Now, another important thing to point out here is that the Galaxy Buds Pro now have oval-shaped ear tips versus the circular ear tips that you'll find on the Galaxy Buds Plus, which I feel gives you a more natural feeling fit. But another important thing to point out here is that the Pros no longer have adjustable ear fins like the Plus. But if you look closely at the sculpt of the Pros, it's very similar to the sculpt of the Plus with their medium ear fins attached. Overall, the sculpt of the Pros provide decent lockdown, but personally, I would still prefer to use something with ear hooks if I'm looking for a pair of earbuds to work out with. Regardless, the Galaxy Buds Pro fit great for everyday use, and I can wear these earbuds for hours on end without any problems. Now, when it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, each earbud establishes a connection with your phone. So if you just want to use one earbud at a time, you can use either one, it doesn't matter. Now, at this point, I would expect the Galaxy Buds Pro to use this setup because Samsung has been using this setup for a while now. And quite frankly, any earbuds that are still using a Hero and Sidekick setup these days do feel rather last gen. Now, there are some earbuds out there that justify their use of a Hero and Sidekick setup, like the Jabra Elite 85Ts, but for the most part, we do want to see each earbud establish a connection with your phone these days. Now, the Galaxy Buds Pro can only be connected to one Bluetooth device at a time. So if you're someone like me that daily drives an iPhone and an Android device, you can be connected to one device and easily swap over to the other device by going into your Bluetooth menu and establishing a connection. But you can't hot swap from one device to another like you can with a pair of over-ear headphones or the Jabra Elite 85Ts that I mentioned earlier. However, the Galaxy Buds Pro have a very similar setup to AirPods where they can hot swap between any of your Galaxy devices associated to your Samsung account. Now, if you're a power user that's heavily invested into the Samsung ecosystem, this could be great. But if you're a power user that uses multiple operating systems like iOS, Android, and or Windows, then the Galaxy Buds Pro won't be able to jump around as seamlessly. But from a performance standpoint, the Galaxy Buds Pro have zero latency across the board when watching movies or videos on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. But when it comes to audio codecs, the Galaxy Buds Pro are strictly using SBC and AAC. But now let's talk about listening to music with these earbuds, because quite frankly, I really like how these earbuds sound, and they really give the Sennheiser Momentum 2s a real run for their money. Now, for those who may not know, the Momentum 2s are my favorite sounding earbuds. For starters, the Galaxy Buds Pro have a two-way speaker setup. They have an 11mm woofer and they have a 6.5mm tweeter that focuses on the highs. Now, with their stock EQ, these earbuds sound very AKG in the sense that they sound balanced with tame bass, but they do put a slight emphasis on the vocals. Now, even though while in their normal EQ, the bass on these earbuds can be a little tamed, when it has to come in, it comes in hard and it resonates a really good amount. But what's really impressive about these earbuds is just how open they sound. When compared to the Galaxy Buds Plus, the Plus sound very narrow with the vocals all up in your face, and if the highs get too much, they can get a little fuzzy. But none of that is an issue with the Pros. Now, even though the Pros sound very open, they don't sound as open as the Momentum 2s. But quite frankly, the soundstage and instrument separation on the Galaxy Buds Pro isn't too different from the Momentum 2s. The difference between the Pros and the Momentum 2s is that the Momentum 2s sound just a little more open. They don't put as much of an emphasis on the vocals and highs as the Pros, maybe because they don't have a dedicated tweeter that they want to show off, and the Momentum 2's bass can hit and resonate a little harder than the Pros if you were to go into their EQ settings and up their bass. But overall, I feel that sound quality wise, the Galaxy Buds Pro are nipping at the heels of the Sennheiser Momentum 2s. Now, the Galaxy Buds Pro also have a few EQ settings to choose from. Personally, I just like using these earbuds while in normal, but there's also bass boost, which is obviously going to increase your bass. But since these earbuds do put a slight emphasis on the vocals and highs, they don't get shallow like some other earbuds, which is good. Soft basically just decreases your bass. Then there's dynamic, which increases both the vocals and bass. Clear basically moves your bass back to normal but puts an emphasis on the vocals. And then there's treble boost, which just makes these earbuds sound nasally. So I wouldn't use treble boost. But overall, I gotta say the Galaxy Buds Plus are a pair of great sounding earbuds that's going to please people who either like a bass heavy EQ or a vocals focused EQ, because these things can do it all. While in bass boost, the bass on these earbuds is rich and resonates hard, while in clear, the vocals are crisp and hardly ever get fuzzy, and in general, these earbuds sound very open. But for me, the Momentum 2s still manage to inch out ahead here because their bass resonates just a little harder, they sound just a little more open, and they don't put as much of an emphasis on the vocals and highs. But still, the Galaxy Buds Pro are a solid number 2 when it comes to sound. However, one very important thing to point out here is that if you want to get the best sound out of these earbuds, you gotta use them with their active noise cancellation turned off. Cause with their ANC turned on, they do get narrowed up a little bit and their bass won't resonate as deep. They still sound great, but they can sound better with their ANC turned off. Now, before we start talking about the active noise cancellation on these earbuds, I do want to address their touch controls. Just like with all of the other Galaxy Buds, you can single tap to play or pause your music, you can double tap to skip a track, triple tap to go back a track, and you can press and hold to either cycle between your active noise cancellation settings, adjust the volume, or activate your voice assistant. But first, I gotta say that I feel these touchpads are a little too sensitive for my taste. These things are very quick to receive an input when you're just going to readjust them while they're in your ears. And I find this to be very ironic because I feel the touchpads on the Galaxy Buds Live aren't sensitive enough. Personally, I still feel the Galaxy Buds Plus have the better touchpad here. It isn't overly sensitive, and the Galaxy Buds Plus also have a few more options. Specifically, with the Plus, if you go into their Labs tab, you can select the double tap earbuds edge button so that you can adjust your volume. So this way, with the Plus, you can cycle between your music by tapping, cycle between your active noise cancellation settings by pressing and holding, and still be able to adjust your volume all from the earbuds themselves. You would think that the Galaxy Buds Pro would expand on this double tap the edge feature, not get rid of it. Because as of right now, there's no such feature to be found on the Galaxy Buds Pro. So maybe Samsung will bring it back in a future software update, I don't know. But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation on these earbuds. Now first, I do want to taper expectations here. The active noise cancellation on the Galaxy Buds Pro mostly focuses on constant low frequency sounds, and they aren't going to block out as much noise as a proper pair of over-ear ANC headphones, like either the AirPod Max, Sony 1000XM4s, or the Bose NC700s. Now, with that being said, the active noise cancellation on the Galaxy Buds Pro does a decent job of blocking out constant low frequency sounds like road noise or the constant hum of an AC unit with very little cabin pressure, which is great for overall comfort. And their microphone array does a really good job of rejecting wind noise when walking outdoors. However, when it comes to ranking, I gotta say the Bose QC earbuds block out more noise than the Galaxy Buds Pro, followed by the Jabra Elite 85Ts, then are the Momentum 2s and the AirPods Pro, which are feel or neck and neck. Then come in the Galaxy Buds Pro, and finally are the Sony WF-1000XM3s. Now personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the ANC on the Bose QC earbuds because they do consistently give me headaches. So if active noise cancellation is very important to you, then you might want to look into the Jabra Elite 85Ts because they block out a lot of noise, but they don't actually give me headaches. And after a recent firmware update, their ANC actually improved. But like I've mentioned in the past, I only use the active noise cancellation on any of my earbuds when I have to, and what's really important to me is the quality of their ambient mode. Now the ambient mode on the Galaxy Buds Pro does sound more natural than the ambient mode on the Galaxy Buds Plus, but there is still a constant hissing in the background. And if you were to set the ambient mode on these earbuds to high or extra high, then you are going to hear that hissing even more. And if you have the ambient mode set to high or extra high, then it does sound like you're on the telephone because you can really hear yourself. But also, with this ambient mode turned on, this microphone array does start to pick up some wind noise when walking outdoors. Now, it isn't a lot, but it is noticeable and it is considerably more than, let's say, the AirPods Pro. So, the ambient mode on the Galaxy Buds Pro is okay, but there are better ones out there, namely the AirPods Pro. However, one really cool thing that I like about the ambient mode on the Galaxy Buds Pro is that it's the active kind. So, just like with the Sony 1000XM4 headphones, if the ambient mode on these earbuds detect a sudden spike in loud noise, they'll automatically turn off their ambient mode, and once that loud noise stops, they'll turn their ambient mode back on. Now, personally, I really like this because having an active ambient mode is still rather rare for a pair of headphones, and it's super rare for a pair of earbuds. But a new feature the Galaxy Buds Pro have is voice detect, which is very similar to speak to chat on the new Sony 1000XM4s. So basically, when I start talking, these earbuds will automatically lower the volume of your music and pump in all of the ambient sound around you so that you can talk to someone without even to have to touch the earbuds themselves. Now, your music is still playing in the background, but the idea is that you'll be able to hear whoever you're talking to over your music. Now, these earbuds will stay in this state as long as you're talking, and they'll go back to playing music and blocking out noise if you're quiet for a preset determined amount of time, which you can set through their app, or you can always cancel voice detect by tapping on the touchpad. But just like with Speak to Chat on the Sony 1000XM4s, personally, I am not a fan of voice detect on the Galaxy Buds Pro because it can get activated even if you're talking to yourself very quietly, or like let's say maybe you're rehearsing a script, which I do a lot here, or it also gets activated if you start laughing. And either way, it's still hard to hear people over your music. So if I'm going to be talking to somebody, I'm just still going to do the whole classic take one earbud out thing. But finally, here's a microphone test. Now, the microphone on the Galaxy Buds Pro sounds good, and it does sound noticeably better than the microphone found on the Galaxy Buds Plus. Because with the Galaxy Buds Plus, this microphone does sound a little shallow. The microphone on the Galaxy Buds Pro does a decent job of blocking out road noise, aka a constant low frequency sound, all while still keeping your voice front and center. Because if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this road noise. But if we were to switch back over to the Galaxy Buds Pro, it is severely reduced, but my voice is still front and center. This microphone also does a decent job of blocking out chatter, aka a random higher frequency sound. Because again, if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this chatter. But if we were to switch back over to the Galaxy Buds Pro, it is severely reduced, but more importantly, my voice is still front and center. But overall, the microphone on the Galaxy Buds Pro performs basically identical to the microphone found on the Galaxy Buds Live. Now, that's not a bad thing because the microphone on the Galaxy Buds Live sounds and performs very well. But what I'm just trying to say is that don't assume that the Galaxy Buds Pro are going to have a better sounding microphone than the Galaxy Buds Live. But overall, both the Pros and Live have good sounding microphones, which is very important these days, especially with the amount of remote work people are doing now. But with all that being said, the Galaxy Buds Pro really are a great pair of everyday carry truly wireless earbuds. They have a small case with wireless charging, they fit very well, and they manage to not get itchy as much when they're in your ears, unlike a pair of standard fitting in-ear earbuds, but don't wiggle out as much as a pair of shallow fitting in-ear earbuds. They have good battery life, they block out a decent amount of noise, and they have a decent ambient mode. But the standout characteristic about the Galaxy Buds Pro is simply just their sound. These things sound great. The two-way speaker in them are not hype. The Galaxy Buds Pro sound very open, they have deep resonating bass, and they have very well-defined highs. I think right now, the Galaxy Buds Pro are my second favorite sounding earbuds. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.